Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Blue Hen Outdoors Podcast. I'm excited to have a good friend of mine, Mr. Jim from Wild Ohio Outdoors. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. How you doing tonight?
Good, good. How's the weather
Eh,
out there in Ohio treating you this summer so far?
It's not too bad. We're just starting to warm up. I
Oh,
want to
there you
thank you
go.
for inviting me on here too. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the. Sorry it's been so long since the last time we talked and we had our TikTok live, but it was fun.
yeah, it was. So, what are you doing this weekly now? Is that kind of the idea with your podcast? Or are you trying to do?
So I kind of have a couple that I'm like I'll record maybe like two or three within a week. And then depending on what I have going on, I have like one or two posted within that week, and then just kind of have like a cycle going.
Cool.
Yeah. So how is are you doing any steelhead fishing or not now because it's too warm?
Yeah, not now. So we're at a point right now where all the fish have moved out to the lake.
Hmm.
You could probably still find a few, just a handful, but it's not worth even targeting them. So that is on hold until September. It'll really start to heat up in about the middle of October, and then it'll go all the way to, sometimes May, early May.
Hmm.
But right now we're fishing for smallmouth. You know, we're targeting a lot of the warm water species that we have up here. Some guys are fishing for drum. Some guys are fishing for smallmouth.
Do you guys get any muskie up there or not really?
Yeah, there's guys. That's not something that I do, but I
Uh,
do have friends that are into muskie fishing.
okay.
Um, yeah, there's a few lakes in this part of the state that the guys get after them in for
Hmm.
sure. They're doing that with fly gear, and they're doing that with traditional spin gear. I mean, you can attack them just about any way.
Are they getting them to fly on? Are they getting muskie on the fly? I never heard of that or haven't really seen too much of that. I've been like we talked about before. I'm kind of more new and novice to getting into the fly stuff this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's not my expertise, but I definitely
Hmm.
know from people I've talked to they may be onto something to think that targeting muskie with a fly rod is a preferable way to do it because you're able to cast, such large presentations at these
Hmm.
fish. So it might actually be a more efficient way to do it.
Yeah. So how do you guys mainly catch the steelhead up there? With fly and center pen, correct?
Well, there's several different ways to do it. The three main ways that the most common ways are going to be either with fly gear, a traditional spin setup with a float setup under a float, and the center pin you're going to fish the same way. You're gonna drift jigs and spawn sacks underneath a float. Um, Now, if you go back to fly fishing, there's a couple ways that we do that. Even okay, so there's guys that'll swing flies, and then there's guys that'll dead drift. It's also called
Hmm.
nymphing,
Yeah.
indicator nymphing underneath a bobber. Okay, but in fly fishing, it's an indicator. But you're basically doing the same thing that you're doing when you're float fishing, but you're doing it with a fly rod and usually a bead or an egg pattern
Hmm.
with a nymph underneath it.
Hmm. What's your?
And that really is the most. What's that?
I was gonna say, which one do you prefer better, or is it just situational?
It's situational for
Hmm.
me. I do a lot of everything when it comes to steelhead. Some guys prefer to just fly fish. If you know how to rig up and how to set up, I mean, you can be just as successful with that fly setup as you can with a center pin or a float rod of some sort.
Hmm.
The only difference would be with that center pin, you're going to be able to drift really long drifts compared to with that fly rod. You're kind of limited to that
Hmm.
uh, sort of shorter area that you can fish, but you can fish it more
Hmm.
thoroughly a lot of the time. I like it all. I mean, I actually, at this point, I do like the fly rod probably a little bit better, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Hmm.
situational. I mean, I have clients that'll come out and I'll usually sort of let them choose what they want to do, but then I'll give my advice on whether that's going to really work out for the water conditions.
Hmm.
So it just depends.
Yeah. How did you get started into guiding for steelhead? Was it something you always wanted to do? Was it something you just kind of fell into?
I've been fishing for steelhead for a long time, since I was young, but it came to a point where I was taking out a lot of friends. I was taking out a lot of people that I knew, and I wanted to make a go out of it and see if it could generate some income for
Hmm.
me. Um, we have a great fishery here that not a lot of people realize that we have. You know, here in Steelhead Alley, that ranges everywhere from the western part of Ohio all the way up into New York,
Hmm.
past Pennsylvania as well. You know, it's a great fishery. We're starting to get a lot of people that are coming in from out of town. We have something to offer here,
Hmm.
and you know, I try to get the word out the best I can. But it's a great thing. I like, but that's how I broke into it. You know, I broke into it because I was able to go out there and usually find fish, and I had a lot of friends that I was taking along and kind of showing what I do, and you know, it just developed from there.
Hmm. And then I guess from there you started rolling into the social media stuff.
Yeah, I got into the social media stuff, you know, the different platforms. I'm still working them.
Hmm.
I'm just really now dipping my toe into Instagram, but you know, TikTok I'm doing Facebook. I enjoy it, you know. A lot of people will, you know, send questions and stuff. I like helping people
Hmm.
out. You know, that's what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it because I want people to be successful, and that's what it's all about.
Hmm. What would you say is a downside to guiding? Because I've had a few guys on, I haven't asked them this, but this is kind of a question I just got.
Well, if you're gonna guide, you gotta like to watch other people fish.
Hmm.
You know, when you go out there, when I take a client out, I'm not fishing,
Hmm.
right? I'm netting, I'm tying on flies, I'm getting, you know, knots out of fly line, I'm pulling stuff out of trees when they get snagged. So you gotta be, are you there? Oh, what happened? All right, there you are.
You still there, Jim?
Yeah,
All
I'm
right,
here.
sorry I lost you. I got a phone call by accident from some spam number.
Oh, that's all right. No problem.
So you're saying that you like the guiding because you like the, or a downside of guiding is you just get to watch and tie.
Well, with the downside, like if you're that type of guy that you have to be the one catching the fish all the time, it might not be for
Hmm.
you, you know. But if you take joy in watching people that have never done it before, that's what I get out of it, right? It's awesome. You get to take somebody out, it's never caught a fish before, never caught a steelhead. You teach them how to do it. You get that fish in the net, you get them a good photo, and you get that fish back in the water. Like you gotta love doing that. But if you have to fish yourself and you know, that's the downside. I'm not fishing because I'm, you know, I'm helping somebody else
Hmm.
learn. That's about it. I mean, I love every other part of it.
What would you say is your favorite thing about guiding that you've learned from doing it?
The people, you know, I met so many cool people, people that are coming from different states and different areas, and they come out here, and then you get them on a fish, and they're as happy as can be. I mean, I get the satisfaction out of that.
Hmm.
That is the cool part about it for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. You definitely bring people out to places they probably haven't seen or done a lot of stuff they haven't done before.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of people here that, you know, they live in northern Ohio, and they don't really even realize the fishery that we have
Hmm.
here. You know, they've never heard about it, or I mean, for whatever reason, they don't know it's there. And then you get somebody out like that and they go, wow, this is right here. You know, I got this. I can do this
Hmm.
now. You know, this is somewhere something I can do as a hobby or an outlet.
Hmm. Do you think that now I know you from what I've seen in your content and stuff, you do a lot of like stream and river quote unquote river fishing. Would you say that those kind of fisheries or those fishing areas are overshadowed by the Great Lakes for your guys' whole general area?
Absolutely. So, the main thing when you think of Lake Erie, people are thinking of walleye. They're thinking of perch
Hmm.
charters, walleye charters. They're going out there and, you know, trolling for
Hmm.
fish. It's overshadowed in a sense that um, it's just broadcast more, it's promoted more, I think, and but I don't think it takes away from how special of a thing that we have
Hmm.
fishing for these fish in these streams.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something special to go fishing for. I mean, you just see a wild stream in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, oh, there's fish in there. It's like you never would have thought that that'd
Yeah,
be the case in some places.
right. But yep, but you got to do it at the right time. You got to. I mean, there's a skill set to it. You got to be fishing in the right places at the right time, doing the
Oh
right
yeah.
things. And that's kind of like that's what I'm here to do. Show people how to do that.
Hmm. Aside from the steelhead, to take a break a little second from fishing. You do turkey hunting and some deer hunting out in Ohio, correct?
I do turkey hunt and I deer hunt, but I do not guide in either one of those at this
Yeah, yeah.
time.
Uh, um,
Okay.
yeah, because I know you said you were just focused on doing the steelhead stuff last time we talked about it. How'd your seasons go for them this year? Do you have any bucks on camera that you have yet for the upcoming season?
I do. Yeah, I do have a couple bucks that look like they're going to be promising. It's they're I have some good growth on a couple deer for how early it is in the year. But the problem is with a lot of places here in this state and probably other states, a lot of those bucks that I'm seeing on camera in the summer, as soon
Hmm.
as that fall and that winter starts to head in, they're somewhere else.
Right, they're
There's that
breaking up.
summer habitat and that. Yep. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
a lot of the places that I hunt, the scenario that I have going on right now is I just I can't keep deer there necessarily all year. I have summer bucks, and then those summer bucks are onto their fall range, they're onto their winter range. Sometimes I'll have a few that'll stick around that are worthy of harvest, and then
Hmm.
sometimes they're not. But all in all, I say it's pretty good deer hunting for sure.
Hmm. Do you say that Ohio is a little overrated or perfectly rated for as far as like they say that you have 200 inches just walking around like it's nothing or that kind of stuff as far as the deer seen up there.
No, it's I would say that it's overrated in that sense. See, what we have here in Ohio is we don't hardly have any public land.
Hmm.
Everything that you're going to hunt here is mostly private, so you'll have to lease or you'll have to get permission. And a lot of those big 200-inch deer that everybody talks about and comes from all over the country to shoot, they're on leased properties that, big outfitters own, and you're going to pay
Hmm.
big dollar for them. Now, you can do it. It can happen. You can go to somewhere in the southern part of the state, go to some public land, hit it in the right time where a huge 200-inch buck walks in front of you, but I don't think it's rarer than what people would believe. I do
Yeah,
know some people that come up from North Carolina to hunt here every year, and honestly, so far they've been disappointed since they started doing that. Um,
really. That's
yeah, I
that's
mean
that's
it's
saying a lot because the deer down there don't get too big or they're kind of like a mix.
yeah, I mean if you got money, if you're willing to come up here and pay an outfitter or something, thousands of dollars to get set up, I mean then you'll be all right. But if you want to come up here and maybe do the public land thing, or maybe get some permission off a farmer, it's not going to be as easy as what people think it is. I'm not
Yeah.
saying the deer hunting's bad here. The deer hunting here is great, right? It's better than a lot
Hmm.
of other places. I just think that it's not what people are making it out to be at this current time. A
Right.
lot
It's
of the
not as
draw, huh?
oh, it is draw. I was gonna say, is it draw there?
There's no draw, but a lot of the draw,
Oh,
I mean, to bring people here is the affordability.
oh
So
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
come here and for like $250 get a non-resident license and a permit and harvest a buck. But that's
Hmm.
changing. I mean they're working on raising the non-resident license costs and things like that. Now I don't know where they're at on that, but I know that it was talked about.
Oh, really? Ohio's doing that as well. I've heard a couple other states are going to be raising up non-resident stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be okay, I guess, because I feel like we're a little bit cheaper than a lot of places are anyhow.
Hmm.
You don't want to price people out, people that want to travel and see how great this state is here, but the state's got to make its money worth. or they got to get something out of it.
Right, I was gonna say they gotta get their money's worth, and they gotta also help. I think that'll probably help reduce some of the pressure too, if there's a little too much pressure on like the leases or the little bit of the public that you guys have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Switching gears back to turkey, how was your guys' turkey season? What's the turkey scene like up there in Ohio?
Oh, turkey's been good. Turkey's been improving. We did go in 2022. We went from a two bird spring season, and
Hmm.
we I think we were down to about 12 or 13,000 birds harvested in the spring, and we've worked our
Oh
way
wow.
up since 21 or 22. So this year the total was 16,000. So we're making our way in the right direction. There's a
Hmm.
couple other things that I think are being discussed right now. One of them being taking away the possibility of harvesting a hen in the fall, because we have two seasons. We have a spring and a fall.
Oh, okay.
And in the fall, you can harvest a hen or a gobbler.
Hmm.
So I'm for that. I think you should not be able to do that. I think, you're taking a lot more birds out of the running. Go ahead, get rid of it. It's going to help. It's going to help with our spring season.
Hmm. Oh yeah, for sure, and especially the states that have the fall hen. I mean, you, some states are fighting enough with the predation of poults and all that stuff in the spring as it is. Uh, you're just hurting your own self at that point when you're shooting hens in the fall. You know what I mean? Just keep it to the
Yeah.
gobblers. Do you guys have a time limit in the spring? Like
For the first 2 weeks. So our state is split into two zones. We have southern zone, which is where I live and where I
mhm.
hunt, and then we have a northern zone, and that's I think it's the six counties from like Cuyahoga, like where Cleveland is, all the way up to Ashtabula.
Okay.
That starts later. This year, our spring south season started April. I think it was 18th or 19th. Was the Saturday that it opened, and for the first 2 weeks, you can only hunt till
Oh
noon,
wow.
and then for the rest of the season, you can hunt all day till from dusk to
Hmm.
dawn. The Northeast season starts, I think it was May 1st ish, and that for them too is till noon, and then the last 2 weeks all day, and that just closed in June.
Hmm.
Um, there were a lot of people that live up there. They don't like that idea because they think they want to start earlier. But Ashtabula County, which is in that north zone, actually led the pack this year. They killed more birds there than anybody else. That is a terrific,
Really?
or it seems to be a really good turkey county.
Hmm. How do you how do you find balance when it comes to the guiding and trying to go find time? Because as you mentioned previously, steelhead season runs into deer season and into turkey season a little bit. How do you find time to balance it?
I block out the schedule. I have control of the schedule. So if I want to
Okay.
hunt or I want to turkey's going to open up, I'll block the days out. And
Okay.
then I'll hunt or I'll do family stuff, whatever I need. That's the best part about me running my own thing. I could go work for somebody else, but then I'm kind of at the mercy of them. That's
Hmm.
why I decided that to run my own company, because it's my schedule. I want a turkey hunt. Deer season comes, the rut falls in. I'll block those 2 weeks out. It is
Hmm.
what it is. I mean, that's just the balance.
Yeah. From doing the social media stuff, have you met or had anybody reach out that's quote unquote uh, big time or that you're excited to do anything with? Or have you had anybody interesting to come out and you guide for them?
Like a person or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Is that No, I mean, I'm just taking out, people like myself, just regular
Hmm.
guys that want to go catch some fish. And um, no, I haven't been approached by any that's got a TV show or anything like that.
I was
Just
I was just
regular
wondering. I
people.
asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do where do you see your guide service going from here? Do you see it growing anymore? Do you want to try to touch any Pennsylvania or New York if you or if you're able to, or are you happy with where it's at?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's growing. Like I'm bringing on two other guides this year.
Hmm.
And they're going to basically, take people out on the days that I'm not going to.
Hmm.
That's the plan so far. And then, as for branching into Pennsylvania and New York, I don't know about that yet. I got to see what they need or what they want for like licensing and see in Ohio we're pretty lax, but I'm
Hmm.
insured. I have the permits from the park systems that I work in. And since I'm not actually fishing in Lake Erie proper, you don't have to have like a captain's license or anything like that.
Hmm.
Other states, everyone's different. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up working into Pennsylvania or not. I mean, it would see. I mean, I have more like last year. I had more interest than what I could even handle. That's why
Hmm.
I'm bringing in two guys this year because I couldn't accommodate everybody that
Hmm.
wanted to come out and fish.
I was gonna say, do you have that issue as well? It's with supply and demand, a lot more demand than the supply you're able to give.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I mean, when the weekends come, everybody wants to, I'd love to get people to book on the weekdays. Like that's where it's at, right? Because then
Hmm.
I have availability, and then the fishery, there's not so much pressure, and we don't have as many people out on the streams, and we can fish where we want, and it's better, right? But everybody works, so they're gonna book on the weekend, and I only have so many weekends, when the seasons opens up to be able to offer. And
Hmm.
I did turn quite a few people away, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So hopefully, when I get these two guys situated here, and they'll be able to pick up some of the slack.
Hmm. Do you guys have any like float boats or anything like that that you use for the streams?
Yeah, actually, I have a an NRS Slipstream.
Okay.
It's a 14-foot inflatable. It's geared for myself in the rowing position, and then two other anglers.
Oh
The
wow.
reason that we're using wraps on these streams down here is we don't have the depth. The water's real skinny, we have a
Hmm.
lot of rocks, and there are areas where you could run a drift boat like towards the mouth of the Grand, but I
Hmm.
wanted to be able to fish everything. So that's why, I went with the raft.
Yeah,
And
that gives you a little bit of a less.
it's a lot easier.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but I mean it has stability. I mean you get on the boat or it's
Hmm.
stable. It's got big tubes on it. It keeps the water out. I mean, it's just as good as a drift boat for what we're doing. Um, it's roomy for three people, and if we bounce off of a rock or I got to get out of the boat and drag it a little bit, it's doable, right? Because if you don't have the
Hmm.
right water and the flows aren't where they need to be, but you're still going to take the boat out, we might come to a point where I got to get out and shove that thing a little bit to get to the next riffle so we can keep moving. I can do that with the
Hmm.
raft.
Yeah, like I say, that's the nice thing about having a raft. You can have shallow draft when you're in short or skinny water. You're able to drag it. It's light enough. You can pull it, push it where you need it to go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can put the thing in, and it's still wide too. It's 96 inches wide, which
Oh
gives
wow.
you that stability. But I could dump it
Hmm.
in a lot of places where you'd never think of putting any other boat. That's
Yeah.
another
Oh
good
yeah.
part. If I get a couple
Hmm.
guys that really want to start at a certain area, we'll dump the boat in there, and then we can go a long ways.
Hmm. Do you have any interesting stories from guiding? Anything like funny? Anything like you were like, oh, I should have did this better?
Um, yeah, yeah, I actually have a couple real funny stories. Unfortunately, I wish I could share them. I'm not going to because
Oh,
I don't want to ruin the chance that that particular individual may not want to come back and be with me
oh no, you're
anymore.
good. You're good. Yeah, yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I just like asking because I like hearing all that fun stuff and just.
I mean, I've had some bad stuff too. I mean, as for funny stories, good days, bad days, I've had quite a bit of both. The worst
Mhm.
is when you get somebody out there and, they don't want to pay attention to what you're telling them. They know
Yeah.
everything. And then as soon as they get to the water, you can see by what they're doing that they don't know what they're doing. And then you're trying to help them out. They're wondering why it's not working out for them. And it's, well, we got to do it this way. And that's kind of like the grace that you got to have. You got to have a lot of patience, because you're going to get that guy who, puffs his chest out and thinks he knows more than you. And I'm not upset about it. I want that guy to catch fish just like everybody else, you know?
Mhm.
So I just have to find a way to let that guy or help that guy do the things that he needs to do to be successful. And sometimes certain individuals are tougher than others. And then you have other clients that'll come out and they just do exactly what needs to be done. And then we're catching fish. Everything came together. You're mending like I needed you to. You're keeping line off the water. You're setting the hook appropriately, and we're getting fish in the net. I mean,
Mhm.
that's when everything goes right for the day and comes together.
Mhm. And that's when it's the most fun. Everything comes together, and everybody has those aha moments, and everybody's listening and doing what they're supposed to do, and they're like, "Oh, this is how it's supposed to work."
Right. I mean, I have two goals. The first one, the most important thing, safety. I want everybody to get home safe and not be hurt or nothing happen like that. Number two, we want to put fish in the net. If we can do,
Mhm.
I mean, that is it. I care about that more than anything else. If somebody goes out with me, I want them to get a photo of a fish so that they can show their friends and family that they're able to do this. You know,
Mhm.
it has its moments. Like there's times when I'm standing on the river and I'm doing something a certain way and I'm going, well, that works out. I'm going to try this with somebody, but how can I get them to do what I'm doing? That's the hardest
Right.
part. And trying to teach a technique or teach a method and get somebody to latch onto it so that it works for them. So,
Mhm.
but it's a great experience. It's made me a better angler for sure. Right.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you might be missing something when you're out there alone. You can't really figure out what it is. If you bring a client out, a lot of times they're going to, by the things that they do, a lot of times they'll tell you and you'll be able to see what's going on, why you're not connecting with the fish or
Mhm.
or whatever it might be. There I can see what's happening sometimes with them more than I can just doing it myself.
Mhm. I was gonna ask you as you brought that up. How do you, like, you're out there doing stuff by yourself and trying different things to say, okay, this might work with a client. How do you go about breaking that down as you're doing it, or what in that moment says, okay, this will be good for a client?
Well, the
So,
main thing is, creating that whenever we're nymphing, when we're indicator nymphing, which I'm doing when I'm fly fishing with most people, because
mhm.
that's what we're going to be most successful doing. It's about creating that perfect presentation, that dead drift that's just going to float through the water and look natural to that fish.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes if you don't mend correctly or you don't have the right amount of weight on or the depth isn't right, that presentation is going to come in front of that fish. He's going to see, or she, that it looks unnatural and they're going to turn away from it. So a lot of times I feel like I'm pestering somebody, but make a mend. You got to mend, you got to mend, you got to mend. And you want to remind them, but you don't want to be too overbearing and too authoritative and sort of ruin the moment. When it comes to a new technique, though, I'm out there when it comes to, sorry about the plane there, if
You're
you can
good.
hear that.
No, you're good.
As soon as September comes in, if I'm not out with the, I'm out fishing. On my other days that I'm not doing anything, I'm out on the water all the time. I'm looking for
Mhm.
fish. The biggest problem we have with these fish, these are migratory fish. They come out of the lake, and these streams are like a conveyor belt, right? These fish are going to
Mhm.
come in. They're going to sit in a pool. They're going to move. Just this season, I took a group out. We got into a hole, slammed them. It was one of the best days I had all year. Everybody, they were catching fish. Everybody was catching fish. Everybody was happy. I talked to my group the next day. Hey, we're going here. I sent them the pictures of these guys, what they did that day. Look, it's on fire. Went back to the same hole. I got one or two fish out of it, and then we're on to the next one. So that's really what makes it hard, is being able to locate these fish.
Hmm.
The techniques can be learned, but it's knowing where to find them, where they're going to be, depending on the water temperature. There's so many factors that affect this. How much rain we've had that'll affect the flow, that'll affect
Hmm.
the water temperature, the clarity, the turbidity. It goes on and on and on. That's the skill set.
Hmm. There's a lot more skill and technique, or not technique, skill and thought into it than the technique of actually casting and floating the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, don't get me wrong. You could have never done this before. You can drive up to Cleveland by yourself or with your spin set up and a bobber with a night crawler or something under it and drift through a hole and catch a fish. But
Hmm.
consistency is not there, right? So you
Right.
can get lucky once or twice, but to be able to find fish and catch fish consistently or all day long, right? That's
Right.
that's what people want to do. They want to learn so that when I'm not out there with them, you might only need me one time, right? If you've never
Mhm.
done this before, you might only need me one time. You're going to come out here, book a trip with me. I'm going to take you out in the river. I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to show you how to find fish. I'm going to show you where the fish are going to be. You go out there, you catch some fish, and then next time you just repeat it.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
That's it.
If you had no budget, you can go anywhere you want. Would you rather do a off the wall fishing trip somewhere, or would you rather do a nice hunting trip somewhere? And where would it be, and for what?
If I could pick anything, I'd probably go out and maybe do like an elk hunt or something, an archery elk hunt out west. That would be cool. I'd be into doing that. For sure. That'd be top list. I'd like to go down to Florida and get after some turkeys down there. Um,
Hmm.
there's a bunch of stuff that I'd like to do. I probably think that archery elk hunt would be top of the list though.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, that's definitely on my list. That and going down and the Osceolas in Florida are one of my favorite turkeys with all the different deep blues and greens and purples on them.
Yep, that's exactly what I was talking about. I think that would be so cool to go down there and hunt them, and being in a different environment and
Hmm.
try to kill. I mean, from what I've heard though, they pretty much they for the most part act the same.
Oh yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. You know.
I mean, when it comes to turkey hunting, I mean, I've hunted down south a few times. Not as far south as Florida, but I've been down to like South Carolina and stuff. I mean, they're all the same bird at the end of the day. It's just a matter of figuring out the terrain that they're in.
Right. Yeah. But,
Hmm.
Um. So where you're at, that's pretty much all flat, right?
Yeah, we have.
You don't
It's
have
just
any
all
hills
like
or anything like that.
no, no, no. We don't. If we have some, they're up. They're like way up north. But for the most part, it's just
Okay.
all flat and coastal marshes. Yeah.
Awesome. How were your
If
seasons going? Did you? Oh, go ahead. I'm
good, good.
sorry.
Well, good for the weather we had last year. I'm surprised with the bird season, the duck and goose season that we had, with the little amount of water that we had, because we were in a big drought last year. I got two does down. I was working on a buck, but he couldn't get him to seal the deal. And then I missed two birds, both openers for Delaware and Maryland. Didn't hear nothing else the rest of turkey season. But that's how it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But
hunting,
yeah.
right? It's never a
Oh yeah,
guarantee.
and it's back to the whole, like you were saying with fishing, is just back into the same thing as hunting. If you want to get it done, you can go out and get it done and just pick your bow up and get lucky. But for the most part, all the conditions got to be right. The wind and this and that's got to be doing everything correct.
Absolutely. I mean, I've hunted mature bucks, in the last few years, and if you go out there and you don't have that right wind, and the wind's to your back, and then you're blowing scent all over what you're looking at. I mean, it's a lot different than getting out there and just catching it right, you
Hmm.
know.
Or it's like even as far as like I don't know how temperamental Ohio is with temperature, but here from September when the season starts to like mid November around Thanksgiving time, even sometimes into December, we're still in like the 70s, 80s sometimes, which is ridiculous in itself. But I mean, we still get cold, but we'll have a couple of snaps where it's like a few days of that, you know?
Yeah, it really depends here. I mean, it's all over. We'll have really cold winters up here sometimes, and then sometimes we'll be doing what you're doing. And it'll be the first week in November, and it's 75 degrees outside, and you're not going to see the movement. It's all going to be
Mm.
nocturnal. I mean, that happened to me just recently, and then you're praying for some type of cold front or something to come in, and then it never does. And yeah, deer hunting can be. I mean, it's in Ohio. It's easy to go out there and kill a doe. It's easy to go out there and harvest a small buck if you have the resources and the uh, availability to do it and the
Mm.
place, right? If you can get a farmer or something to give you permission, we can bait here. The guys will dump a load of corn down, and then you go out there with the crossbow and kill a doe. Well, that's put meat in the freezer, but you're not. If you want to kill those mature bucks, it's a whole nother
Oh
ball
yeah.
game. A lot of those deer aren't going to hit those piles of corn. They're going to stay away from food plots till the middle of the night. I mean, they know what's
Hmm.
going on.
Oh yeah. I have a buddy that he says he doesn't really like. He'll run food plots and like do like the corn and stuff like that. And like he'll shoot his freezer does and stuff like that off of them, but he said he's not really running that stuff for his big bucks till like late season where they're like that's all the only food sources they got.
Yeah, absolutely. Like towards the middle of January, our season goes till usually about the first weekend of February, very beginning of February, and that's when you're doing that here too. That's the same way
Hmm.
people hunt here.
Do do you guys you don't do much duck hunting on the lakes up there, do you? Or
I don't know. I know people that do. I'm not a I'd like to get into duck hunting. It's something I've never did growing up or any of that. Um People definitely duck hunt here. You're not going to see that many. It's a deer hunting state, in my
mhm.
opinion. There's a lot of deer hunters. There's less turkey hunters, but there are turkey hunters, and there's even less duck
Oh
hunters.
really? I would have thought there would have been just as many, if not maybe a little bit less, turkey hunters than deer hunters. I knew there would be that not that many.
Oh no, there's less turkey hunters
Wow.
for sure. There's, yeah, we absolutely have less turkey hunters than deer hunters. Like you go anywhere, you talk to a group of guys, almost everybody's going to hunt deer, right? And then you might have one or two that are going to hunt turkeys. Um, I mean, it's definitely popular. I'm sure somebody might be watching this and go, "Oh, there's a ton of turkey hunters." If you look at license sales, you look at permits that were sold. There's
Yeah.
definitely less, and there's less turkeys. I mean, it's a good thing because if we had the amount of guys going out there that hunt deer and trying to get after the turkeys here, we'd be in
Oh
trouble.
yeah.
It'd be rough.
Yeah. And plus, Ohio's been historically a more deer popular state anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. For sure.
Where
So what about?
do you see any? You're
I'll go
good.
ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say, do you see any other besides like the turkeys and that stuff that we've talked about? Do you see any other crazy big changes for Ohio DNR?
I'd like as for big changes, like I said, I hopefully eventually they get away from allowing people to kill
Mm-hmm.
hens here, turkey wise. Deer wise, I'm sorry, out non-resident out of state people. I'm actually for them to raise the prices a little bit, just because the competition right now is so
Oh,
difficult. I know people that were born and raised here that had hunted farms their whole life, and they can't anymore because that farmer passed and his kid has it, and his kid leases it out to the guy from another state that has the most
Hmm.
money, and you can't hunt it anymore. A lot of the places that we used to go to, they're out of range, or they've been for sale,
Hmm.
or I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's if I got to go to another state too, and get in a draw to be able to hunt, or I got to go in another state and pay a ton of money to be able to hunt. I mean, Ohio's a good deer state. If it is, then raise the
Yeah.
prices. I don't want to say that non-resident people shouldn't come here. I think they should. I don't want to get in the way anybody
Hmm.
having fun. I'd love to see that. They bring money here. Most of these people are all good people. They're all great people, and they just want to go somewhere else and hunt. And I'm totally for that. But I think that it would be beneficial for the state and some of the residents to increase some of
Oh
those
yeah, and
prices.
that price increase will also help bring resources to the public land. Maybe the state might use that to help buy some more public land. I don't know how that works out there.
Yeah, yeah, that would be good because, like I said, like I don't even know the percentage. I'm not going to make up a number because I don't know,
Hmm.
but I do know it's pretty much all private land in Ohio. I mean, you're going to have places like Shawnee or Wayne National Park. I mean, we have our little
Hmm.
spots that are public, but compared to a place like, let's say, Pennsylvania, where they have so many state game lands everywhere
Hmm.
and they have all these public places that you can go, we don't have that here. We don't have
Yeah,
that here. If you're going
this
to come,
skews more
huh?
private in Ohio.
Absolutely. It's all, and we do have hills here,
Hmm.
but not we don't have big mountains, but we do have some hills. But a lot of it's farmland, and a lot of it is most of it's private.
Hmm.
Excuse me, and it makes it hard. It makes it really hard for anybody that wants to come here and be competitive. You know, I
Hmm.
think if you were to come here, buy a license, buy a permit, and you want a deer hunt, you're going to go to Wayne National Forest or Shawnee or something like that, and you're going to go walk out and get lucky on the whim. Yes, it could happen, but it's going to be rare. You need an inn. You need a place to go. You need a
Right.
lease, or you need something like that.
Right, and 9 times out of 10, if you go do that on the public land route, you're probably gonna end up getting a buck that you probably shot at home anyway.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if you get one, I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of our public land is so overrun. I mean, that's kind of the thing too. Like, I'll hit certain spots, just drive by them, that are near places that I hunt that are private land. And you look in
Hmm.
the parking lot and there's nobody from Ohio.
Yeah.
So all you guys that are coming in, you're competing with each other too. And, it
It's,
sucks to be from another state, drive out there, get the license, get the permit, and then end up exactly what you said. You shoot a buck that, hell, I could have shot this in Michigan, or I could have shot this in Pennsylvania, or wherever you come from.
right.
So
It's like it's like you're going to
it's
go out there and expect to shoot the 200 that everybody says you're going to get as soon as you get to Ohio, but you shoot a 150, 140 that you could have got like say here
one,
where I'm at in Delaware.
not even. You're talking. You'd be lucky to get a 140 or 150. I'm telling you, these places where this reputation for us having these huge, huge deer, these are private farms that, like, if you're not willing to pay big money for,
Hmm.
or buy leases or land out here, you're not going to see deer like that. I mean, it's just not true.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not. Yeah, the chances of killing something that big on public land here would be like not even it would be crazy. It would be a crazy lucky day that you just happen to be at the right place at the right time, you know. But if you, like
Yeah.
I said, if you come out here and you buy a lease and you do the right things, then you can have that potential to get that 200 class deer. I mean,
Hmm.
that's my opinion. I've lived here my whole life, born and raised in Ohio, been hunting since I was 8 years old. That's what I
Hmm.
got to say about it. Like I said, a big outfitter is going to tell you different because they want you to come give, and that's good for them. They're making a living on it. They're doing good things for the herd. They're managing. Nothing against those guys. A lot of them are great. I know a few of them,
Hmm.
but if you're not with them, you know what I mean. If you're not coming up here and hooking up with them and staying at their lodges or their locations, you're not going to. The chances of coming across that deer are going to be slim.
Oh yeah. 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 And if you do come across it on public land, you might as well go put the lottery as soon as you're done.
Right. I mean, it's going to be rare. It's going to be hard, and you better get your walking boots on too, because a lot of those times, if you want to get into a big deer like that on public land in Ohio, you may have to walk 2 miles in. You may have
Hmm.
to park in a remote location and walk two, maybe 2.5 miles to get to a spot. And then don't forget the way that Ohio goes. You shoot that animal, you're dragging him out that far.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now, we're not allowed to run four wheelers or ATVs on public land here.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yep.
So but I mean, I don't want to deter anybody. Come here. It's a great state. We got a lot of good things. It's just, I don't think it's as easy as what people think it is. Now, don't get me wrong. There's probably somebody that might see this and go, I went there and did that. Okay, you did. Well, you got lucky.
Yeah.
Good for you, though. Congratulations. Come and do
Well,
it again.
as we get ready to finish up here, I always like asking everybody this: what would you say is your why that keeps bringing you back out into the woods? Keep chasing that next buck. Keep going after that next fish. What would you say is the why for you?
What would I say is the what?
The why. Like, what's
Oh,
your
the
why
why?
for? Yeah.
If I didn't do this, I don't know what I would do. I mean, this gives me purpose. I other than my family, this is next. It's wife,
Hmm.
kids, wife, and then the outdoors. That's what I do. It keeps me away from things that are bad that I don't have any business doing. I love
Hmm.
to be in God's creation. This is it's a beautiful thing. It's done so many wonderful things for me to be able to put me in the woods and keep me going on the right track. And at this point, I don't know what I would do without it. It's huge. It really
Hmm.
made a difference in my life.
Oh yeah, and that, that's one of the biggest to touch on. You saying being in God's creation. That's one of the biggest things that I preach to people about. What I say is my why. It's like, what activity can you beat that you're in watching and physically taking God's work as He's doing everything? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of times I'll go sit in the woods, especially for deer season. When it's slow, you're waiting around for something to happen. And I'm reading the
Hmm.
Bible and I'm praying and I'm doing stuff like that. And that's it allows me to have that serenity, that downtime to relax, and it does great things. I mean, it does for me.
Hmm. 1,000%. One final question before we get off of here.
All right,
From being in Ohio, would you rather have a 200-inch whitetail or a state record steelhead?
I'll take the steelhead because I'll tell you what. There's a lot of really good bucks that you can shoot here that are 140 inches, 130 inches, 150 inches. There's a lot of really nice deer that
Hmm.
I'd be happy shooting, at that size. I'd take the fish for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, awesome. I appreciate you coming on tonight with us, Jim. I appreciate the time, and that was a great time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Oh,
Hopefully we could do this again sometime. And
oh
let
yeah,
me
for
know when you
sure,
want
of
to come
course.
out.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
want to,
It's been a little hectic with me and the wife having the baby a couple weeks ago, but I'll have to let you know next time we're heading back out that way.
yeah. And congratulations on that. And
Th-
yeah,
Thank you.
that's good. Absolutely. For sure. Yeah, hit me up whenever you're here and then we'll connect and we'll get out on the water or we'll do something cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, and before we get out of here, do you have any shameless plugs or any shout outs you want to give to the people for yourself or anybody else you would like before we head out, or where they can find you at?
Oh yeah, sure. WildOhioOutdoorGuide.com. That's my website. If you wanted to come up to the northern Ohio and you want to fish one of our steelhead streams, check me out there. You can get on my website, you can book trips, you can read a little bit about myself and what we do and our fishery here. It's WildOhioOutdoorGuide.com. And that'll
Awesome.
connect you with me.
Awesome. And with that, that'll be the end of our episode tonight at the Blue Hen Outdoors podcast. Thank you guys again for
All right.
joining in. And thank you, Mr. Jim, again for hopping on.
Thank you very much, buddy. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right. Bye.